Namaskar, greetings. In this video, we will show you how to use AI tools like Google Gemini to generate individualized education plan goals for an imaginary student studying in reception or kindergarten. I will log in. Please consider the following points while working or interacting with a chatbot or AI-powered engine. Try not to share your personal information or details or photos with it. Thoroughly read, analyze, review, and refine the output generated by the engine before using it. Go through the sources used by the engine, and remember, goals or plans or interventions developed by teachers who know or understand or have worked with the child were and will always be more meaningful and rewarding on earth. For the second major concern, let us use an informal or conversational style for writing the prompt. Please use the style if you can remember the fact that we are communicating with a chatbot and not a real person. Enter the prompt. I have a student in reception, foundation stage, who is finding it difficult to or struggling to or is not able to count numbers up to 10 accurately in a consistent manner. Can you help me frame an annual goal and aligned or corresponding short-term goals for the Individualized Education Plan or IEP of my student based on the SMART framework? Let us read the responses generated by Gemini. What's a common challenge in reception? We can certainly frame a SMART annual goal and corresponding short-term goals for your student's IEP. The goal will focus on improving counting accuracy and consistency up to 10. For annual IEP goal, under SMART component, specific and measurable, we have the goal statement when presented with 10 concrete objects, example counters, blocks, or a line of up to 10 drawn items. The student will accurately count them, demonstrating one-to-one correspondence and stating the correct final number. Under SMART component, Achievable and Relevant, we have the goal statement. This task is a foundational number skill for the foundation stage curriculum. Under SMART component, Time Bound, we have the goal statement. This will be achieved by the end of the academic year. Example, June 2026. The annual goal would be, by the end of the academic year, when presented with a collection of up to 10 concrete or pictorial objects, the student will accurately count the items using one-to-one correspondence, that is touching or pointing to one object per number word, and correctly state the cardinality, that is the final number, on 4 out of 5 consecutive trials as measured by teacher observation and checklist data. For short-term IEP goals, it states these goals break down the annual objective into manageable steps, focusing on a progression of skills that is also known as the learning trajectory, from a smaller range of numbers and structured areas to a larger range and less structured areas. They can be reviewed every 6 to 9 weeks. For short-term goal number 1, counting to 5 in a structured setting focuses on a smaller, manageable number range with aids to correspondence. Under SMART component, specific and measurable, we have the goal statement. The student will accurately count up to 5 concrete objects placed in a straight line, demonstrating one-to-one correspondence and correctly identifying the total number on 9 out of 10 opportunities across 3 separate data collections. Under Achievable and Relevant SMART component, we have establishes the core counting principles in a highly structured, low-demand context. Under time-bound SMART component, we have achieved within the first term, that is, by 9 weeks. For short-term goal number 2, counting to 7 in a semi-structured setting, the focus is on increasing the number range and introducing a slightly less structured arrangement. Under SMART component, specific and measurable, we have the goal statement. The student will accurately count a randomly arranged group of up to 7 concrete objects, consistently tracking and saying one number word per item, that is, with one-to-one correspondence, and stating the correct total number on 80% of opportunities across 2-week period. Under Achievable and Relevant SMART component, we have develops object tracking skills and extends the number sequence required. Under time-bound SMART component, we have this is to be achieved by the midpoint of the academic year, that is, by 18 weeks. For short-term goal number 3, counting to 10, in a pictorial or scattered setting, the focus is on achieving the final number range and moving from concrete objects to pictorial representations mimicking the final annual goal. Under SMART component specific and measurable, we have the goal statement when presented with a scattered group of up to 10 drawn items, example stickers, stamps. The student will accurately count all items and state the total number, that is with understanding of cardinality, with no more than one self-correction in 7 out of 10 documented sessions. Under Achievable and Relevant, we have integrates all foundation skills, that is sequencing, one-to-one correspondence and cardinality up to 10 with a more challenging format, that is pictorial or scattered setting. Under time-bound, we have this is to be achieved by the start of the final term, that is by the end of 27 weeks. For key interventions for the teacher, it states to support these goals, focus on explicit teaching of the 5 counting principles established by Gell-Mann and Gallister, which is a reference to the work of Professor Rochelle Gell-Mann and Randy Gallister, who put forth the 5 counting principles of the learning trajectory we must consider when it comes to building number sense among children. It begins with the first level, that is one-to-one correspondence, moving, touching or pointing to each object as a number word is said. We move on to the next level or we progress on to the next level. Second, that is stable order, saying the number words in the same correct order. 1, 2, 3 and so on. We progress on to the next level. Third, cardinality, that is understanding the last number counted represents the total number of items in the set. From there on, we move on to the next level. Fourth, abstraction, that is understanding that any set of items can be counted. Example sounds, jumps, toys or drawings. From there on, we progress on to the next level. Fifth, order irrelevance, that is knowing that the order in which the items are counted does not change the total number of items. Let us try to see if we can get Gemini to map the goals generated by it to the goals of a different curriculum, like the Early Learning Goals of the National Curriculum of UK and Development Matters Guidelines for Foundation Stage. It responds by saying that's a great idea for ensuring alignment and relevance to the curriculum. The goals for counting up to 10 directly map to the number strand within the mathematics area or domain of early learning goals in the Early Years Foundation Stage Framework, which governs reception in the UK. Here is the mapping of your proposed annual and short-term goals to the relevant early learning goals and development matters statements. For EYFS alignment, counting goals. The overall goal of consistently and accurately counting up to 10 is a foundational requirement to achieve the early learning goal for number. It has formulated the response in the form of a table with 3 fields. First, annual IEP goal. Second, early learning goal, known as ELG, and third, key EYFS statement from development matters. Under annual IEP goal we have, by the end of the academic year, when presented with a collection of up to 10 concrete or pictorial objects, the student will accurately count the items using one-to-one correspondence and correctly state the cardinality on 4 out of 5 consecutive trials. Under early learning goals, we have number. Under key EYFS statement, we have a deep understanding of numbers up to 10, including the composition of number. This goal specifically addresses the deep understanding required for numbers up to 10 by focusing on the core principles of counting, that is correspondence, that is one-to-one correspondence and cardinality. For short-term goal alignment, it states the short-term goals are developmental steps that build toward the full ELG, that is early learning goal, covering essential intermediate skills. It has formulated the response in the form of a table with 3 fields. First, short-term IEP goal. Second, related EYFS skill or requirement. And third, rationale or reason. Under short-term IEP goal, we have goal number 1, counting to 5. Under related EYFS skill or requirement, we have count reliably with numbers from 1 to 5. Key step in development matters progression. Under rationale or reason we have, this is the initial foundational step. It ensures the student masters the core counting principles, one-to-one correspondence and stable order in a controlled, low-demanding environment, that is, with up to 5 objects in a line. Under short-term IEP goal, we have goal number 2, counting to 7. Under related EYFS requirement or skill, we have understanding the counting principles, example, the stable order rule and cardinality. Under reason, we have increasing the number to 7 in arranging objects randomly makes the student apply object tracking and counting skills under a high cognitive load, directly testing their grasp of the stable order and cardinality rules before reaching 10. Under short-term IEP goal, we have goal number 3, counting to 10. Under related EYFS requirement or skill, we have the ELG number that deals with supervising and recalling number bonds and accurately counting objects. Under reason, we have this final short-term goal reaches the full number range, that is up to 10, and moves to pictorial representation, which is a necessary step towards abstraction, meeting the full scope of the ELG requirement for working with numbers up to 10. It summarizes the response by saying, for your reference, the full mathematics ELG relevant to this area is ELG number, that is early learning goal, corresponding to number, which states children at the expected level of development will have a deep understanding of numbers up to 10, including the composition of number, subroutines, that is recognize quantities without counting up to 5, automatically recall without reference to rhymes, counting or other aids, number bonds up to 5, including subtraction facts, and some number bonds to 10, including double facts. Your goals specifically target the requirement for deep understanding of numbers up to 10 through accurate counting, which is a prerequisite for the other skills. Please don't worry about the mathematical terms and phrases being used in the responses generated by Gemini. They correspond to the different levels or steps in the learning progression or trajectory that we tend to follow when it comes to building number sense among children. As we move forward in the mathematics domain of the curriculum, all of which can be understood by going through the EYFS Framework and Development Matters guidelines. Let us try to see if we can get Gemini to compile all the responses generated by it into a single file. Let's enter the prompt. Okay, can you present the annual goal and aligned short-term goals along with the mapping to corresponding early learning goals of the early years foundation stage EYFS framework in the form of a table to make it more readable and comprehensible? It responds by saying, here is the comprehensive table aligning the annual and short-term counting goals with the UK Foundation Stage, Early Learning Goals and Development Matters progression. It has formulated the response in the form of a table with 4 fields. First, goal type. Second, SMART goal statement. Third, target achievement time. And fourth, corresponding EYFS alignment from mathematics domain covering the competency number. Under goal type, we have annual goal. Under SMART goal statement, we have by the end of the academic year, when presented with a collection of up to 10 concrete or pictorial objects, the student will accurately count the items using one-to-one correspondence and correctly state the cardinality on 4 out of 5 consecutive trials. Under target achievement time, we have end of the academic year. Under corresponding EYFS alignment, we have early learning goal number, which specifically targets the requirement to have a deep understanding of numbers up to 10 by mastering the core counting principles up to that range. To further study, review, verify, refer, or use the information generated by Gemini, you can either continue by reading the response online or export or download the contents as an Excel file, or copy the table and paste it onto a Word file.
With this, we come to the end of this segment. We hope you have developed a fair understanding of how to use AI tools like Google Gemini to generate individualized education plan goals for your student based on a well-crafted prompt. Remember, try not to get carried away by the speed at which AI tools generate responses and the audacity with which it backs up the responses generated by its data models. Thoroughly read, analyze, question, and refine the responses generated by AI tools before using it in your work. As the lines between what is real and what is not real is fading quickly, it would be nice to pay attention to concerns being raised by psychologists based on their reviewed and vetted research findings and to use AI tools with caution and care. Remember, they are applications programmed to appear, sound, write, or respond like human beings, but are not real human beings. Activities, goals, interventions, plans, and stories developed by educators who know and understand or are working with the child were, are, and will always be better as AI tools lack the heart and dedication with which human beings are driven with. Please use it as an add-on tool to tie loose ends, to adapt or modify instruction, content, and assessment, to personalize or customize intervention and create better learning experiences for your students. Neither running away from it or relying on it completely will help us in the long run. The idea is to learn, grow, and bank on our ability to think critically and ethically, thereby not losing what makes us, human beings with a heart and mind. If you wish to grow as an educator and want to learn more about the process of crafting or creating an individualized education plan from scratch for your student, please have a look at the course or playlist titled IEP 101, How to Prepare an IEP for Your Student.
Thank you for carrying a light forward by sharing our work with your family, friends, teachers, and parents who might find it meaningful. May the force be with you.